Hey, welcome back to Jameson's Repair Shop. Well, this isn't Thunderbird. This isn't a Thunderbird video, but this is an important a bit of repairs that I need to do to get prepare for winter. I got the snowblower, as you saw in the little walk around there. It's a 10 horsepower, 32-inch Craftsman by Shears. I bought this snowblower. I think I paid 150 bucks for it. It wasn't running very well when I got it. This is years ago. I've done very little to it. I put a set of chains on it last year. And it worked really well. I had to put a carburetor on it when I got it. Excuse me. But it worked really well. I had some issues with dirt in the fuel, of course. So a simple filter looked after that. And the machine blew snow. Oh man, it would blow it right across the yard. But at the end of last year, I noticed it wasn't doing that much. And we don't get a lot of snow here. Like, we'll get a big burst of snow, and then all of a sudden it'll just kind of stay that way most of the winter. And then March or so we'll end up with another round of a bit of snow. So toward the end of the last season, I noticed it wasn't throwing snow very well. But I'm going to bring you in, I'll show you what's going on here, and this is what we're going to fix today, because we are at the end of our really nice weather here in Saskatchewan. I have a feeling that we're going to see some snow pretty soon. Generally here in where I live in Saskatchewan, right around Halloween, generally, and this isn't always, Halloween day, Halloween evening, the day leading up to Halloween, temperatures usually plummet. Minus 20 degrees Celsius, down to minus 20 degrees Celsius or so, roughly around there. So this is what, the 12th of October, so we don't have a lot of time, and we're going to see some snow. Anyway, so let me get down off the tripod, or rather I'll move you closer to see what we're going to be doing here. Well, let's tip her back. I'll move this handle up so I can tip this baby back. All right, we've got her tipped back. So the problem I'm having is it took the shear pin off here on this drive. So you can see this side here, it's locked right up. For some reason, this machine has, and I don't know why, we're going to find out why, has shifted this side back, and it's catching. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's some bolts that hold the side piece to the snowblower on, and they're hitting those bolt ends. Now I could go in and cut the bolts off shorter, but that doesn't tell me why it's doing it. What I'm thinking it is, as simple as, I'm going to go take a peek, is that there's some bolts on this, like a pillow block on this side, that may have shifted back, or it has shifted on this bracket right here, which it looks like it may have. I'm not sure. But either way, we've got to figure out what's going on with this snowblower. Well, I know what's going on with it. The shear pin's gone off. And this one actually looks like someone, actually, they actually have a shear pin on it. This one here is completely gone. I might be able to punch that out. All right, I'm cleaning this shear pin off. And yes, it is a shear pin. It's not just a regular bolt. So anyway, I know what I need. So I'll put that one back in for now, just so I don't lose it, because it does look like a regular bolt. And regular bolts around this place tend to get gathered up for other things. This machine has some grease fittings on it. They need to be greased. Not really sure why. I guess that's just to keep the shaft from freezing onto it. Another thing I want to do while I'm here, I want to check the gear lube. And actually, I'm going to grab a wrench right now and let's do that. But I don't see any leaks, so I don't think there's an issue there. So, put her back down to see if the gear lube comes anywhere near. Yeah, I don't think I think it needs some. Yeah, there's a little bit popped up there. So let me get some gear lube. And we'll do that first before I forget about it. Got my funnel, got a little bit of 80-90 gear lube. Just topping her up. I'm not too worried about the level. When I put it down, I am confident there'll be enough oil in this gearbox to do me for another 20 years. Now that we've got the gearbox filled up, I'll bring you in closer, see what's going on here with this rig. Like I say, the shear pin is right there. That's what I need to replace. This one here is right there. So what I can do with this, because it's broke on, I think that'll just push through. So I'll get a punch and a hammer. We'll get that knocked out. And I'll put in just a bolt for now, but I'm going to use a proper shear pin for when I go into activity. But I need to find out why it's hitting there. What changed that's causing it to hit there. Now I see this bracket here looks to be kind of wonky. So, and there's, I don't know if there's adjustments on this block over here or not. I'll have to find out. So I'll start with the block. And if that's not the issue, I'll come over to this bracket and then we'll go from there. Okay, I got a 1/2-inch wrench. Let's see what happens when I loosen the bolts on this block. If I can get this to adjust out. But something changed to why those are binding on that. I don't think that's it. Nope, something else going on there. So, let me get a punch. I was supposed to do the punch. All right, I got a punch. And I got my little hammer that I like so much. Now if I can get a good direct shot at this shear pin, see if I can poke that through. There she goes, just like so. So that is what a shear pin should do. Oh, where you are. That's what a shear pin should do when you hit something. And don't use regular bolts in these or you'll destroy your gearbox likely. Anyway, I got the shear pin out, so that's great. So now I just have to buy a new one. Now I got to find out why that is binding. Well, I thought it might be able to adjust this block on this side, but there are no adjustments on it. That's a 1/2-inch wrench, and I backed it off, and it just doesn't. There's no way to move it there, so that's not the issue. So I'm still a little bit. Hold on. I was going to say I'm still a little bit bewildered on why it's doing that, but just give me a second. I'll show you why. I just figured it out. I just saw the problem. And sometimes that's what it takes, just to look at it at a different angle. So let me get this back together, tightened up like so. And I'll show you what the problem is. So I just saw it now. And it's a very simple problem. And I don't know how I missed it. Of course, I never spent much time on this. I just decided I was going to fix it this morning. So, all right, I'm going to pull you down off the stand here and I'll show you what's going on. All right, so I found out the issue. Very simple. How I missed it, I don't know. Take a look at that down there. That part of this blower is bent. That's what's going on. See how this one's bent a little bit? It might have got hit by the same thing. It needs to come out. If you compare it to the other side, these should come out just like a wiper, but not, on those bolts. So this one here is in good shape. And I put the shear pin back in, but it spins freely because this piece here isn't pushed over. So that's an easy fix. So I'm going to bend that over. That one looks fairly good. It comes straight. This one needs to be about the same. So let me get at that and we'll get that done. And then I get the shear pin and I think that's it. All right, I got a wrench on it, just a crescent wrench on that piece that was bent. And it seems like I'm going to be able to bend it back with a crescent. So let's bring her back some. I'm going to have to do a little bit. I'll bring it out here now because it's not coming. So the whole purpose of this video, and I mean, I never really explained why I wanted to show you this. But if you just bought yourself a snowblower and you're never had one, and you all of a sudden run into this, you can replace the shear pin, but you have to find out why it did it. That's the whole purpose of this, is why did that shear pin break? Well, I found out it was binding on the frame bolts, but why is it binding on the frame bolts? What happened to it? And you will see you hit something right there. Now you can see damage to that one. I mean, this seems like a lame video maybe to someone that's owned all this and has gone through all this. But you know what? There's a lot of people getting their first home, getting set up. You know, it's a lot, right? So try to help out where you can. So let's see if we can get this straightened out. There we go. That looks better. A little bit more out. It's pretty straight. I'll take it a little bit more. But my point is, find out why the damage happened. If you don't find out why the damage happened, you're probably going to experience the damage again. And it goes for like lawn tractors and all that jazz. Same thing. You got to learn why these things happen. Because a lot of times the repairs on these are very simple. You don't have to take it into a shop to get a repair done. Sometimes you will. So there we have it. It's a little short video on fixing the old snowblower. I'm going to put a bolt in that, so just give me a second. I'll get a bolt. And like I said, don't use bolts for a shear pin. Always get a shear pin. On this case here, I have the old one, a one that's equivalent to it. I know which one to get. Sometimes you'll have to do a little research. So let's give me a second. I'll grab a bolt. Okay, I got a temporary, and I mean temporary. You don't want to do this really and go back at it. You could cause damage to your snowblower. The sooner you get the proper shear pin in, the better it is. But I just wanted it in there for demonstration. There's no snow to blow anyway, so I'm just going to fire up the snowblower and just to make sure there's no issues with clearance, but I'm pretty confident it's good. It looks pretty good there. Yeah, it's coming close to it. I'm going to bend that out a little bit more, just a shade more. Just give me a second to get the wrench. Okay, yeah, so I look at it there now in place, and it looks to be still a little close to those bolts. There. Now it's not going to hit anything. This one looks good. They hit on that one blade. All right. Let me get her down and we'll fire her up and see how she looks. Okay, now turn the fuel on. That's one thing too. If you have one of these old snow blowers, I always like to put a fuel valve in, a new one. This one that came on this was leaking. So your tank was empty every time. So if you have a leaky one, put a new fuel valve on. Definitely put a filter on like I've got on this one. I'll show you. I just use, they're like a flow through filter. You can see it down there. Well, that guy right down there. I just use those ones. Then you can always tell if you have gas in your tank as well. All right, so let's get her fired up. I'll give her a little choke, a little prime. She's a noisy machine. These old Briggses, they're not quiet. So you may hear a bit of noise. Now let's see if we can get this to go. She's inside. She usually starts pretty good. She's in new, no, there we go. There she is. I'm going to check the footage, make sure it's working, but I'm pretty confident it is. So that's it. That's my little video on repairing the old snowblower. I wanted to do this. I mentioned a little earlier about, you know, a lot of people buying their first homes and that's a big expense. A new home costs a lot. So when you're trying to do like lawnmowers and snow blowers and that kind of thing, unless you're, you know, well off, and that's great if you are, you can buy brand new, but a lot of us had to start at the bottom, work our way up. So you buy used stuff. So these old snow blowers, you can get them cheap, reasonably cheap, but when you buy a cheap one, you have to expect that there's an issue with it. One like this, other than what I just did to service the differential or the worm gear. To change the shear pin and make sure you got the right shear pins. There's really not a lot that can go wrong with these. If you have fresh gas, clean gas, filtered gas going through it, you've got clean oil, good oil in it, spark plug is in good shape and it's still not running right, say it won't stay running, it's probably the carburetor. Carburetors on these are very finicky because people will just forget about them and park them and not burn the fuel out of them. What I do, I have the fuel shut off, I'll shut the fuel off, and then I'll run the snowblower till it quits on its own. That gets rid of most of the fuel in the fuel bowl. But I think for me, one of the biggest things that I do, I don't run any gasoline that has ethanol in it. So if you're going to run just regular pump fuel through these things, you're going to expect to have some problems because these little carburetors, the aluminum parts in them, they don't hold up well to ethanol. You can buy the pure fuels, which for the amount that you're burning might not be a bad idea. Say, you know, if you're not mechanically inclined to change carburetors and all that stuff, go get yourself some of that fuel. I mean, you're only going to go through about a gallon, maybe a whole season. So what's that, 30 bucks? It's not a bad deal. And it's pure fuel. There's no ethanol and garbage in it. It's got the right octane for these. I go and I get premium fuel in places that I know there's no ethanol. That's what I do. And the only place I can get that around here where I live is at Co-op. The rest of them all post that they have up to 10% ethanol. So I avoid those for these small engines. Another issue you could have with a snowblower is someone may have gone inside trying to get it to run right. Now this will be a case where the engine's surging. It's not running smooth, it'll run and then die, run and then die, or running way too fast or something like that. So a lot of times people will pull this cover off on these old Briggses and they'll start monkeying with the governor arms and they don't know what they're doing. Or they're not sure of what they're doing and they make a mistake. And that'll throw off your runability, we'll call it. There's people out there that have done tons of governor adjustment videos on Briggs & Stratton, so I'm not going to waste your time to watch mine when there's better people out there that do it. A guy that I watch, he's in Quebec, I believe Quebec, or he's in Ontario, I forget. His name is, his channel is Donny Boy, and he does a lot of he does small engine stuff. He's a mechanic, that's what he does. If you want to watch things on small engine, go see Donny Boy. But yeah, it's these snowblowers, they don't come with an air filter like a lawnmower. So they just suck air directly out. There's a choke on them. You'll see all that stuff. But yeah, runability, if it's surging, probably somebody did something with that. Could be in the carburetor, but most likely it's in the governor. If the engine starts and then dies and starts and dies or won't idle right, good chance it's the carburetor's dirty, needs to be cleaned and maybe replaced. The carburetors for these are cheap. So, you know, for 40 bucks, say you get this whole snowblower like I did for $150 and you only have to put a carburetor on it for another $35, $40. That's pretty good. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm rambling on about this. People aren't even watching now, but we got her fixed up. We know what the problems are. The engine works good. Burn premium fuel or go get yourself some of that pure fuel or just straight the proper stuff. Anyway, that's it for the old snowblower. Everyone have a great week and we'll see you in the next one.